Secrets from a Coach. Thrive and maximise your potential in the evolving workplace. Your weekly podcast with Debbie Green of Wishfish and Laura Thompson-Stavely of Phenomenal Training. Debs.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm feeling really good, actually.
Cool.
We're right in the midst of a brilliant leadership workshop, aren't we? With some
Yeah.
amazing people.
Really good people.
Hence the hotel background.
Yes. Looks lovely, everyone, doesn't it? Great venue, great hotel.
These aren't Debbie's curtains. These are hotel curtains.
Hotel curtains.
So listen,
Yes.
this is the second in our 4-part focus looking at sustaining your sparkle.
It is.
And the reason why we thought that might be quite good, not only because of the time of year that we're currently recording, but actually it's a job in itself sometimes to keep your energy going,
Yeah,
to
definitely.
bring energy to the job that you do.
Definitely.
And what we're seeing around us is people have dealt with so much change, so much setback and disruption and continuing new things that they've got to get their heads around, that even the most kind of change hungry people potentially can get a little bit kind of jaded and faded. So we've been looking at how do you sustain your sparkle?
Yep.
What does that mean in terms of taking stock and feeling really set up for the months ahead?
Yep.
So what are you seeing around you from a coaching perspective? What are you seeing around you? And the sort of hot topic that we're going to cover on this episode.
Yeah, so I think what we're noticing is a bit of lack of self-confidence going on somewhere with people and not necessarily understanding that they do have the power within them. And it's that, how do we externalize that power outwards? So we was doing some sessions with somebody yesterday, and it was around they can feel their glow and their shine within them. And it was, okay, well, that's great, but how do you let it out? How do you let that glow, as they called it, come forward and shine, basically? And that's about empowering yourself to believe in yourself with self-confidence and having a good level of self-awareness, which is hard if you're a bit wobbly. So it's really important, I think, that we address this and just take a moment to reflect and pause on what we can do for that.
And it was quite a moment when that amazing person just had that realization of, maybe I can have that conversation.
Yes.
And actually,
Yes.
she had this kind of heat and flushed up. And it was when that power, it was like a battery, just got kind of switched on.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's just so empowering, talking about empowerment. So rather than having to be strong or to, never back down, it's about, am I empowered to be able to act as I want to, as what feels right in this moment, in a way that also respects other people as well.
Definitely.
So you might be on the receiving end of some pretty disempowering behaviour that's coming towards you. For example, you're in a meeting and you never get acknowledged to contribute to a meeting, or you might have a manager or a senior leader who is just not giving you that kind of airtime.
Yeah.
So those kind of opportunities to be able to speak up, speak out, get your sparkle, to be able to kind of bring that shine out.
Yeah.
It can be easier said than done if your habits have got into, I'll just keep quiet.
Yeah, exactly.
What impact can I make?
Yeah, and then you doubt yourself, right? And that's where we then don't speak up, and then we don't empower ourselves to go, no, my voice deserves to be heard because I have add value, I have something to say, I'm able to be who I want to be. And I think that's the thing around, how do we enable people to do that, but how do we enable our teams to be able to do that as well? So if, as a leader, manager, supervisor, you can empower your team to do what they want to do and the individuals within that, but you might need to think about that and get over some of the things that stops us from empowering people.
So, Debs, take us through, what are some of the things that can impact our sense of empowerment? Our obstacles, and then that means anyone listening can sort of watch out, any that you might be experiencing directly, but also if you, everyone impacts and influences others, but are there moments where, without necessarily realising, we might accidentally be disempowering someone else?
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's that lack of awareness to start with. So we talk about we're not aware of what somebody wants, their needs, their aspirations, or their goals, and therefore it shows that we just don't care. So we don't actually have that conversation with somebody about what's important to them. Sometimes there's a control issue, like I want to micromanage everything and I want to be the one controlling you, and you can't, in the workspace anyway, as well, you can't do that piece of work until I give you the okay to say go. So there are things around what's going on for you first of all, as to why you would not relinquish control to somebody and let them be the person that they can be. So there's some stuff around that. And I think the other thing that stops people from empowering others is this fear of competition. So, oh my God, if I give them the power, then they're going to be better than me. And therefore, I'm not going to be seen to be the good person, or I'm not going to get that promotion, or they're going to get in my way. So that is self. That's all ego driven. And so therefore, we have to like get over ourselves really and go, well, actually, no, what's my role as a leader manager? My role is to nurture. My role, I believe, is to care, is to enable people to grow and develop. And if I can empower someone by raising their self-awareness, building their self-confidence, giving them opportunity to shine, help them along the way, I can coach them in that, then why would I not do that? So that fear of insecurity sometimes with self can also stop us from empowering others as well, because we haven't maybe done the work on ourselves that we need to do first of all. And we do see that, some managers, leaders just have no idea as to the impact they're having on others, because they're insecure within themselves. So the minute you give them their power, then that sort of feeds onto others. So, oh my God, I've seen the light, if you like. So I'm going to put that in play for somebody else. So it's, what am I going to give back? Because that's what's happened to me. Why would I not want someone else to feel how I feel right now?
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Oh God, it is. And you reminded me of that that kind of concept about how the most consistent relationship you have in your life is the one with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how empowered do I feel?
Yeah.
And then that is going to influence every other external relationship that you have.
Absolutely.
Because if you can't accept and tolerate things that maybe don't go right that day, then that potentially could become across as quite judgmental of someone else not being able to enable things to kind of go well. I've just had a little scan, a memory scan.
Go on.
It was just when you were talking about the control issues. So I worked in a business, and this was about 15, 16 years ago. Okay. So the money total might be a bit different now, but no manager was allowed to sign off on any payment to anyone above £500.
Oh, wow.
So you were not empowered to sign anything that was above £500 had to go to a board member.
Wow.
So, of course, if the board member are all in a meeting that day, if the board are all in a meeting, then you just have to wait until the next day to get some new pens, if you've got to do a big order. Yeah. So, of course, what it prompts is when people are feeling disempowered, you have to, you've got to feel like you've got some balance. So it prompts gaming behaviour to game the system. And basically, if you needed to pay something that was £1,500, you just get 3 POs that are all £495 to then do it. So
we work around it.
Yeah. So the impacts of disempowering, for example, a frontline manager, which I was at the time, is it prompts up behaviours in other ways, because depending on the type of person, if actually you don't like to feel disempowered and you can't do anything in that moment because them's the rules, then it comes out in other little behaviours, because otherwise, it all just feels kind of a bit difficult. So
we're super smart, right?
And we are
super smart.
The best people to look at any competition that you might set for a sales team, for example, are the gamers.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you ask the naughtiest person, right, have a look at the T's and C's, how would you game these? And they're the best people to sort of ask. So when I think people are feeling disempowered, it might not be to your face that you then get challenged, for example, but it comes out in other behaviours that can then really impact morale through gossip, or commercial, through gaming the system.
And then I suppose also you then potentially got that fear that, what if I get caught? So if somebody was to look, and then you either go, I'm just going to carry on and do it anyway, or you might go, and then feel super uncomfortable because you've broken the rules, because that's the way you've been brought up, maybe, that you'll conform rather than not conform and just go, I don't care, I'm going to break the rules here. So it drives the wrong behaviour, right? It
does.
Completely.
And you're right, it then might create some real odd dynamics within a team.
Yeah, definitely.
Where there might be some people going, that's not fair.
Yes.
We've seen that play out.
Yeah.
Where actually if someone is very much driven by I get my power through winning,
yes,
and someone else might be I get my power through feeling like I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So both people feel like they are exercising their power appropriately, but actually there's a clash in that moment that can then cause friction and a bit of conflict.
And divide the team. And there's the manager, you probably then disempower even more because you want to take back the control. There is no trust. You're just thinking, well, I'm going to not let that happen because that's on my watch. And that toxicity, if that's the word, starts to breed. And then before you know it, the team is dysfunctioning and it's broken. So it's so important to think about, how can I empower others? I think, how can I empower myself first? Because as you said, it starts with the relationship you have with self. And then it's, okay, what can I do to empower others? And there are some similarities, but there are also some differences. So we can have a look at, what does that mean to empower yourself first, if you want, Law? So,
brilliant.
I suppose, Law, what we need to consider is, what can we do to empower ourselves?
Yes.
So should we have a look at some of them?
Brilliant.
And then you can add in your magic around what you see as well.
Beautiful. Go for it.
Okay. So the first one for me is always about self-awareness. So it's all about understanding what your strengths are, what your possible weaknesses are, really, really clear on what your values are and what drives you into doing what you're doing. It's really, really important to reflect on what you're really passionate about, what your interests are, because that will give you clarity on what really matters to you. So therefore your voice will come through more because you're so super conscious and aware of, this is what I'm all about. And I think that's where it would start for me, around self-awareness. Setting goals as well. So while some people don't like setting goals, some people love setting goals, it doesn't matter. It's just a case of, what do I want to achieve over the next week, the month, the year, 5 years from now, whatever that might be. So really setting some goals around what's important to you and what you need to do in order to help us be the best that we can be. So they're the sort of two main ones. We then have confidence, self-belief is in there. Really believe in your abilities and your skills, but you might need to do a little bit of an audit first around that, so that you can hone into, what am I great at? And how can I use that great stuff to enable me to overcome some of my possible weaknesses? And then just keep learning. It's so important to just keep learning, and don't be afraid to take action, I think, is what I would suggest people consider.
And even if it's just a vague sense of, I do want to be doing this role in a year's time or not. Because a mood is different from an absolute kind of belief. So you might be in a bit of a down patch in your current role, or if you're looking for work, but that's not that forever.
No.
And part of that keeping the empowerment is just reminding yourself that no feeling is final. In a week or a month's time, you might feel entirely different. But that little lovely thing that I know Gail likes about, if you take the easy option now, I won't have that conversation. I won't challenge my leader. I won't speak up at the team meeting. It might be easy in that moment to keep quiet, but it leads to a harder life longer term.
Definitely.
If you take the hard decision now, which is what we had that moment yesterday of someone going, I don't want to have that conversation with my boss, but I now know I need to have that conversation.
And that they can.
And I can. And if I don't, it's going to have some consequences that actually would upset the team more than if I ran the risk of mildly upsetting my manager, who is paid